No, don't have any more wax either. Give me something to focus at. Here we go.
Yep. I'm rolling.
I only had one Barney bullet, Bill.
I'm rolling.
He's breaking it. I hit it.
Yeah, you must not hit it on the balloon. There you go. Dead center.
What? Tough.
Dead center.
Here you got the tape. Yeah. And you do this one back and fire that one over there like that. You'll love this one. Always spin it back into the holster. And you draw the gun from that position. You like that one, Steve? Okay. And that's the standard. Okay, there's a standard one. There's the flat one. Okay, back and forth like that. That's kind of neat there. Throw this up over the shoulder, throw that up over there. Can't stop from cocking those guns. And you put this one over here. Damn it to hell. That went on camera too, didn't it?
Yep.
I use that for evidence when I want some new grips.
Yeah, but I can put it in slow motion and highlight that.
Oh yeah, I know you'll do that. Here. I take this one here.
I was gonna say that's confidence doing on this shit.
These rocks don't help matters any. That's a little double falter there when you stop here and do that. And in and out. This is called rock the baby here. Like that. And then you can do this one here where you knock the gun out of the holster and come up and catch it. And then you can do it where you catch it and cock it like that. And put it back in the holster. And then you do these flat spins up here, okay? And then there's a reverse spin like that. And all this stuff can be done. Rolling?
I'm rolling.
Okay. I know it. It backed out.
You using shotgun?
Yeah, the damn primer backed out.
You ready, Steve?
Yep.
It's a little bit over 6 inches. So I would put my thumb down here.
Now, I told you I was a fan of that, see? I'm going to fan this. Break that balloon there.
You're a little bit far away, Bill.
Think so?
Yeah. Yeah, you're a good 10-some feet there, so
Yeah.
give yourself an 8 foot.
These are some real old loads. They ought to be like nitroglycerin. Like I said before, I can get close to that gun as I want to, but I won't be touching it when I get ready to go. Steve?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Here we go, gentlemen. We're gonna roll. 3, 2, 1.
That caught on camera too, didn't it?
You did.
No, I meant shoot. I keep forgetting that.
That got caught there too, yeah.
There's no bleeper on this.
1.
Now we'll have to change to the center balloon.
Oh, okay.
I gave
That's
a
pretty
pause
good.
in there for you to cut.
3, 2, 1.
Did you see that, Bill?
Yeah.
First time.
Okay, here we go again, editor. 3, 2, 1.
Uh-oh, cut that.
Okay.
Did I cock that one? Check this here. Okay, try it again. Ready?
Ready.
Missed it.
Yeah, let me get you. I'm missing the pull from the holster. Let me. These are the loud ones.
Yeah, these are just the movie star blanks.
These loud?
Yeah, they're pretty
Okay.
loud.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay, you have another one? Okay.
Rolling?
Rolling.
Ah, missed it.
Okay, start again.
Here it is, index. Damn, guns are getting dirty too. That's part of the problem too with me. Okay, here we go.
All right, we're ready.
I don't think the right gun went off. Boy, this gun is like that. Then you come back like that. Just like that. Then you come across here.
Thanks, Larry. I'm here at Cowtown with Jim Martin, who's a professional gun handler and fancy gun handler, and he's been a professional in the movies and the gun tricks. Jim, how did you get started in doing gun work?
Well, I was doing shows in Southern California, and Rod Red Wing was in the audience, and he came up and introduced himself afterwards. After that, we got to be friends, and we worked together. We did shows together. And then later on, when they needed a gun coach at MGM, he got me my job over there because of the fact that I was able to handle 7.5-inch Colts rather than the 4 3/4, and that's what they needed at the time, and that's what got me started.
So you did not only gun coaching, but did you do some stand-ins yourself?
Yes, I did. On occasion, they would have to have a gun take or a gun stunt done in one take, and I would do that so that they wouldn't have to do so many takes, and it would be a difficult one. Like for instance, spinning the gun around and throwing it through a plate glass mirror when they had only one mirror, and I would do that, and it would go through in one take.
I see. What are some of the gun tricks that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, the first one is the original version of the border roll, or the road agent spin.
Now this was something that was really used?
Yes. Originally, it was used by John Wesley Hart. He was one credited for developing this. And most of the people you see in the movies today, they start with a gun like this, and they roll it around. But the actual way that Hardin did is he extended his hand out with the palm upward. It was very deceptive, and then when the person reached for the gun, he would spin it around and cock it, and then they wouldn't take his guns away from him.
And that was used by Hardin where at?
In Kansas, and it was supposedly done to Wild Bill Hickok around 1871 or 72. There's a little doubt as to the actual happening, but Hardin was credited with doing it.
Okay. What other tricks have you got that you'd like to show?
Well, starting out here, the standard spins like that, they're a lot of fun, but then you can do them in the air like that, and then you can throw the gun like this, and bring it around like this, throw it up over the shoulder, and spin it back into the holster.
Looks pretty fancy. Now, has that been used in just shows or in movies?
Some of it's been done in movies. In The Fastest Gun Alive, Red Red Wing was the gun coach on that, and Glenn Ford did the shot. And what he did is he drew the gun and fired here, and then cocked the gun on his belt and did another shot like that. And that was developed by Rod Red Wing. Later on, I did one that I developed where I draw the gun and shoot behind the back like this and actually hit a target over there. That was first used in Veracruz. Burt Lancaster did it. Later on, it was used in Bronco Billy, and Clint Eastwood did it. The first guy that ever did it was Ed McGivern. He did it with live ammunition, a double-action handgun. And later on, I did it first with a loaded single action and was able to actually hit a target.
Now, all these guns that you use are the single action, is that right?
They are.
And that means that it has to be cocked before it can be fired?
Absolutely. If you pull the gun out and just simply squeeze the trigger, the gun will not go off. The gun has got to be cocked. And every time you cock it, you fire it. Now, here's one. As far as I know, there's only maybe 2 guys, there might be more than this, that can still do it. But this is actually 2 shots with one hand. There's not very many people left that can do that.
Now, these guns that you have, are these new guns? Are they old?
Yes, they're all old. This particular one here was made in 1898. I bought it, it was all junked up and broken, and I rebuilt it and fixed it. That's why the barrel was blue. I never bothered to re-chrome it. I have another one over there that's made in 1898, and a couple that are back in the 20s and 30s.
And then you've put the handle on, I understand.
Yes, I build the grips that are on the guns, I do the checkering, and I also do the action jobs that are on them.
Okay. Now, we're going to cut here just a minute. Okay, I'm going to ask you about the border roll. On the border roll, there's also, it can be done with 2 guns.
Yes.
And then I'll hand you the gun.
Border ship is here.
And that can be done with 2 guns too. And we did it with 2 guns over there. Okay.
Well, we didn't shoot that. In other words, I just did that one for you.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you did facing right here.
Exactly. We did that already.
And then the other one, this will need to be cut back in where we're talking about the border shift.
Border roll.
Border roll. We're going to add this little part in here.
Border roll, road agent spin, road agent spin. They're both probably.
Which did you call it?
Well, I call it.
When you told me about it, what did you just?
I said the border roll.
Okay. All right, here we go. Jim, on the border roll, I understand it could also be done with 2 guns.
That's correct.
You want to show us that?
All right. What you do is you start with the guns out like this, and you lay them in your hands like this, and when you roll them around, you just start like this, roll them around like that, and cock both guns like that, and fire them simultaneously.
And they should be fired right together to be done correctly?
Absolutely, because if your timing is off and you shoot the right target, it may cause you to miss the left target, so they should go off simultaneously and hit the targets at the same time.
And you had one other that was done with 2 guns that you wanted to show me today.
Yes, that originally was popularized around the border wars between Kansas and Missouri when they carried muzzle-loading handguns. When the right gun was empty, they drew the left gun and they switched guns like this and put this one away and continued shooting. Actually, the origin of that goes back further than that, back to the days when the first percussion cap single-shot pistols were carried in the cummerbund or waistband of the people back then. And what they would do is they would draw one gun out, maybe a single shot, and he would fire. And then he would shift and draw another gun so that he could have 2 shots. So it actually goes back to the colonial days when percussion caps were first developed. And the stun itself, the first time I ever saw it performed with the muzzle loader was in Disney's The Swamp Fox. And I believe Leslie Nielsen was the one that performed it. It was back in the 50s someplace.
Is there also a double spin?
Yes, there's all kinds of double spins. This one here, this particular one, is where you spin the guns in 2 different directions at the same time. And also, if you're handy enough or lucky enough, you might be able to hit both targets too.
Now, you used some special ammo for these demonstrations.
Yes, when I was shooting the balloon single-handed, I was actually shooting a projectile. These are not trick loads. They were wax bullets powered by 22 blanks, and they are coming out at magnum velocities around 13 or 1400 feet a second. And you actually must hit the balloon to break the balloon. It's not like where you have a small spread when you're using blanks. The target must actually be hit, and it is extremely difficult. I do want to caution anybody that's shooting a gun don't go out and try this because it's very, very dangerous, especially the one where you shoot behind the back. You can injure yourself severely even with the blanks, much less live ammunition.
It's really important. Gun safety, as always, should be emphasized here.
Absolutely. Amateurs should never go out in the desert and try these stunts. It's just too dangerous. And in drawing the gun from the holster, they should never cock the gun in the holster because the gun can go off and naturally they can lose a kneecap or a toe or whatever.
What if a person is interested in this fast gun, fancy gun work? Where would you go to learn more about it?
Well, we have our cowboy shooting organization out here at Cowtown. We practice every Sunday. And we have bi-monthly shoots or monthly regular shoots on Sunday. And the people can come out and get interested in, if they're interested, they could get out here and learn to shoot cowboy shooting. And then, of course, if they want to get into something else, well, I teach fancy gun handling.
Jim, it's sure been a pleasure talking to you today and watching your gun handling. And we appreciate you being here with us.
And I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Reporting for the Arizona Cowboy, I'm Dennis Ryan. Back to you, Larry.
Tricks. Dennis?
Thanks, Larry. I'm here at Cowtown with Jim Martin, who's a professional gun handler and fancy gun handler.
Yes.
And he's been a professional in the movies, in the gun tricks.
Yes,
Jim, how did you get started in doing gun work?
Well, I was doing shows in Southern California, and Rod Red Wing was in the audience, and he came up and introduced himself afterwards. And after that, we got to be friends, and we worked together. We did shows together. And then later on, when they needed a gun coach at MGM, he got me my job over there because of the fact that I was able to handle 7.5-inch Colts rather than the 4 3/4, and that's what they needed at the time, and that's what got me started.
So you did not only gun coaching, but did you do some stand-ins yourself?
Yes, I did. On occasion, they would have to have a gun take or a gun stunt done in one take, and I would do that so that they wouldn't have to do so many takes, and it would be a difficult one, like for instance, spinning the gun around and throwing it through a plate glass mirror when they had only one mirror. And I would do that, and it would go through in one take.
I see. What are some of the gun tricks that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, the first one is the original version of the border roll, or the road agent spin.
Now, this was something that was really used?
Yes. Originally, it was used by John Wesley Hardin. He was one credited for developing this. And most of the people you see in the movies today, they start with a gun like this, and they roll it around. But the actual way that Hardin did is he extended his hand out with the palm upward. And it was very deceptive, and then when the person reached for the gun, he would spin it around and cock it, and then they wouldn't take his guns away from him.
Jim, on the border roll, I understand it could also be done with two guns.
That's correct.
You want to show us that?
All right. What you do is you start with the guns out like this, and you lay them in your hands like this, and when you roll them around, you just start like this, roll them around like that, and cock both guns like that, and fire them simultaneously.
And they should be fired right together to be done correctly?
Absolutely, because if your timing is off and you shoot the right target, it may cause you to miss the left target, so they should go off simultaneously and hit the targets at the same time.
And you had one other that was done with two guns that you wanted to show me today.
Yes, that originally was popularized around the border wars between Kansas and Missouri when they carried muzzle-loading handguns. When the right gun was empty, they drew the left gun and they switched guns like this and put this one away and continued shooting. Actually, the origin of that goes back further than that, back to the days when the first percussion cap single-shot pistols were carried in the cummerbund or waistband of the people back then. And what they would do is they would draw one gun out, and it'd be a single shot, and he would fire. And then he would shift and draw another gun so that he could have two shots. So it actually goes back to the colonial days when percussion caps were first developed. And the stunt itself, the first time I ever saw it performed with the muzzle loader was in Disney's The Swamp Fox. And I believe Leslie Nielsen was the one that performed it. It was back in the 50s someplace.
Is there also a double spin?
Yes, there's all kinds of double spins. This one here, this particular one, is where you spin the guns in two different directions at the same time. And also, if you're handy enough or lucky enough, you might be able to hit both targets, too.
Now, what other tricks have you got that you'd like to show?
Well, starting out here, the standard spins like that, they're a lot of fun. But then you can do them in the air like that, and then you can throw the gun like this, and bring it around like this, and throw it up over the shoulder, and spin it back into the holster.
Looks pretty fancy. Now, has that been used in just shows or in movies?
Some of it's been done in movies. In The Fastest Gun Alive, Red Wing was the gun coach on that, and Glenn Ford did the shot. And what he did is he drew the gun and fired here, and then cocked the gun on his belt and did another shot like that. And that was developed by Rod Redwing. Later on, I did one that I developed where I draw the gun and shoot behind the back like this and actually hit a target over there. That was first used in Veracruz. Burt Lancaster did it. Later on, it was used in Bronco Billy, and Clint Eastwood did it.
What if a person is interested in this fast gun, fancy gun work? Where would you go to learn more about it?
Well, we have our cowboy shooting organization out here at Cowtown. We practice every Sunday, and we have bi-monthly shoots or monthly regular shoots on Sunday. And the people can come out and get interested in, if they're interested, they can get out in here and learn to shoot cowboy shooting. And then, of course, if they want to get into something else, well, I teach fancy gun handling.
Well, Jim, it's sure been a pleasure talking to you today and watching your gun handling. And we appreciate you being here with us.
And I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Reporting for the Arizona Cowboy, I'm Dennis Ryan. Back to you, Larry.
Great gun tricks and a great story from Dennis Ryan. And we'll be back with more of the Arizona Cowboy.
No, thanks.
Alibi, we've got work to do.
Jim Dunham is a gunslinger, writer, and nightclub entertainer who specializes in the lore of the Old West.
The guns of the Old West, of course, are the Colt single-action Army revolvers. They're not the only guns that were made, but they have become famous as the Peacemaker, the Equalizer, the gun that won the West. And because these are real, I checked them thoroughly to make absolutely certain that the guns are not loaded. These are the guns, of course, were called the Equalizer because some people said God created man and Colonel Colt made them equal. Single action meant you couldn't fire these guns by pulling the trigger. In order to make them work, you had to reach up with your thumb, cock the hammer till it locked, then pull the trigger for every single shot. Sam Colt was not a cowboy. Sam Colt was a sailor. He was riding on a ship one day, and he noticed that the ship's steering wheel could turn freely and yet lock into place whenever he wanted to. And he took a block of wood, and he carved holes in the block of wood. And when he arrived in England in 1836, he patented the first revolving cylinder. When he got back to the United States, he started to manufacture a firearm that would spin freely like a ship's wheel. And yet lock into place whenever you wanted to. Up until that time, if you wanted to shoot a gun, you had to fire one time, and then you had to reload. And so you took your gun, and you took your powder horn, and you poured gunpowder down the front end. You took a lead ball, and you put it in on top, and you took a stick, and you shoved it down till it was firmly seated, and you lifted it up, and you put a cap on the back, and you cocked the hammer, and you went... Then you took your gunpowder, and you poured it down the front end, and you took a lead ball, and you put it in on top, and then you took a stick and you shoved it down until it was firmly seated. Then you lifted it up and you put a cap in the back and you cocked the hammer and you went, ah! The Indians soon learned to charge in between the bangs rather than during. Sam Colt changed on it. Of course, in the motion picture business, if a movie star can't draw fast enough, then they hire a stuntman or a second unit person. He will dress in the star's costume. The cameraman will photograph from about the elbows to the knees, real fast, draw, put the gun away, splice that into the film, right where the star is supposed to draw. But many cowboy stars were quite capable with their guns. Roy Rogers used to walk up in Bad Guys, spinning his gun with a backward spin. And Roy Rogers knew that the bad guy was hiding behind a building. And he knew that because he had read the script. And he'd walk up doing a backward spin, and the bad guy would give up very quickly.